Hello and welcome to Kits and Wagers. We're talking game week 32 in the Premier League. I am back home. I'm no longer in Mexico. Chris has fixed up his office. Chris, welcome into the show. There's no kit, but we have scarves and wagers today.
Yeah, dealing with I got a friend visiting, and as per usual on this podcast, we are podcasting in the early AM for myself. It's a little after 8 o'clock, but nonetheless, let him get a little extra shut eye. My closet actually is in the spare bedroom, so didn't want to make sure that he gets the proper amount of sleep. And figured I did spend the last weekend kind of fixing up my office. And I got some scarves up here, and then of course Q-Tip and Fife Dog in the background. So yeah, I got the Ballard FC scarf, and then Forward Madison FC scarf. If you're watching on YouTube, you can peep game. And then I got the USA scarf. So looking to add to it, I think a Sounders scarf is next up on the list here.
So yeah, our summer podcast will just be going down the Tribe Called Quest discography kind of a thing. So we'll be doing that for a couple months over the summer. But for now, we're just talking soccer.
We're gonna do player comparisons. Player comparisons to which song. Like, can I kick it? That's got obviously Pele.
There you go. I got South Africa on. I believe I've worn this before. I thought I had a Mexican team hidden in my closet somewhere, but I couldn't find it this morning. I didn't buy anything down in Mexico. It was, just one of those deals where, like, if you're walking downtown, you got all these people coming at you trying to sell stuff, and I just couldn't deal with that really. So I just walk by, ignore them. No gracias kind of a thing. So
that sounds like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it probably was, but it was either that or, have like a 5-minute conversation with some guy trying to sell me a bunch of other stuff that I didn't want. So I decided I didn't want that conversation.
You're haggling over like 10 pesos or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
10 pesos, 50 cents. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we have the Manchester City Liverpool match this weekend, and we will get to that, but we're going to be talking other stuff. You can see on the screen here, rotowire.com, sports betting page. We got the Friday matchup, Newcastle home against Wolverhampton. We're not talking about that. It's Friday, but you have any thoughts on that one? Eddie Howe had his press conference this morning, and he had a quote of like Newcastle haven't lost at home this season or something like that. But then I did some digging, and it turns out it was just Newcastle haven't lost at home under Eddie Howe. They have many losses at home under Rafa Benitez there. So, sorry, Steve Bruce. Let me get that correct. I'm getting all these managers. Yeah, all these managers are mixing up here in my head, but yeah,
as they do at this point in the year. Some teams are almost onto their third. Everton, and there's a lot of managers going around. So honest mistake, Adam.
Yeah. So do you like either side of the Newcastle Wolverhampton there? I know you picked Wolverhampton last week. So
yeah, last week we went between the two best bets. And I said it was either Wolverhampton like plus 200 at home against Aston Villa, which I thought was absurd. And I gave that one or the Leicester City double chance. And you picked Leicester City, which they both had, so we all win. Wolverhampton, I guess they're going to Newcastle, so a little bit different. But, Wolves are just so much more organized, plus 250. So... yeah, I think I'd still opt for Wolves here. Really outside chance at any European football season or football next season, and I think they're still pushing for it. They are going to get. Are they getting any players back? Jimenez is still and Neves are still out, suspended and out. So pretty close to the same team they played last weekend. But Tottenham really just dismantled Newcastle. That was a complete performance from them. I think I'd rather go Wolves here, especially plus 250 against Newcastle.
Before betting that match, I will point out Newcastle have had 4 straight away matches, so I think that's kind of relevant. They haven't played at home in a month, so I think that second half got away from them against Tottenham, 5-1. So, that's our fourth road game in a row. I'd consider that before betting that one. But the first match we're actually going to dive into, Aston Villa. You mentioned Aston Villa against Wolves for that last weekend, but we got Aston Villa our home against Tottenham. Aston Villa plus 215 to win. Tottenham favored plus 125. Draw is plus 255. And over 2.5 goals minus 120. Under 2.5 goals minus 105. You were against Villa last week. Are you against Villa again now that Tottenham are coming to town? Tottenham, who are pretty much cruising through everyone, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm not on Villa again this week. They've dropped 3 straight, I believe. Tottenham have, on the other hand, I think they've won 4 straight. Tottenham look like they are like just a totally different team from what we saw in like December, January. And so I think I really like Tottenham here. I would opt for the over on the over 2.5 at minus 120. You're getting pretty decent odds. Over the past few matches, it's been 2-1. The previous matchup earlier this season was 2-1 Tottenham. Last season it was 2-1 Aston Villa. There was a 2-0 in there, but then it's 3-2, 3-1. So in these matchups, we've seen quite a bit of goals dating back to 2019. So at least over 2.5. So I think, given the previous matchups and the way that Tottenham are scoring goals currently, I think that I would opt for the over 2.5 here at minus 120.
That's probably the first place I would look instead of picking a side here at risk of a draw. The over just kind of makes more sense, and you're getting even money for it. I mean, I was gonna write about this match and probably take the over or both teams to score. Well, I guess both teams to score is minus 160. I mean, when you look at something like that, both teams to score minus 160, over 2.5 minus 120. It kind of makes sense, just to go the over 2.5. But I've just had a lot of issues with Aston Villa this season. It seems
They're such a tough team to bet.
Yeah, it seems like whenever I'm on them, they lose, and then I go off of them, and they went on a winning streak. It was a month ago. They won 3 straight games, and now they've lost 3 straight games. It just seems like I can't get on the right side of them, so I'm kind of staying away from that. I kind of have a feeling that so Lucas Digne, he left in like the 12th minute last weekend. He had some kind of illness. He was returning from, I think, a calf injury, but he should be back. I mean, I feel it makes sense to take the over, but for some reason, it's just coming to me that it's just like Aston Villa are going to play a little more defensive. They're just going to try and contain things to, not allow Tottenham, who love to get out on the counter. They're going to try and contain that. And like you see that 1-0 loss against Arsenal a couple weeks ago, that's kind of sticking out. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was like another kind of more of a little more defensive match than what we've seen from Tottenham. You have these huge matches at home, but you look at their last away match, 2-0 at Brighton, and they have a 3-2 loss against Manchester United. They got the Burnley loss in there. Tottenham are, even though they're having success, I feel like their results are also kind of up and down just in terms of how well they're playing defensively. And a lot of that is just because of, their opponent. If their opponent lets them get out in the counter and have success, I think that's kind of what Steven Gerrard's going to want to limit here. So while I do like the over, I'm just personally, I'm staying away from this match because Aston Villa is just a pain in my butt.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. They have been tough to predict this season, whether it's winning a couple games and then now they're in kind of poor form. Taking a look at the anytime goal scorers, we've got Heung-min Son is leading the pack at plus 140, and then Harry Kane at plus 150. Do either of those intrigue you as an anytime goal scorer in this match?
I mean, if you can get Harry Kane at better odds than Son, I take that. I know Kane didn't have a goal last week when they scored 5 goals, but Kane is, I guess I don't know what their numbers are in the season. Kane has had a really good run the last couple months. Let me look at this. Well, I guess Son has 14 goals this season. Kane has 12, but I think Kane is just more. I mean, I guess they both have a decent amount of goals lately, but Kane has 7 in maybe the last 8 matches. So, plus 150 for Kane. I'd probably take that route. Yeah, that's probably what I do there.
Yeah, Kane's got 5 goals and 4 assists in his past 6 matches, I think. Just play, whether he's setting up or scoring them, he's kind of doing it all lately. He's in great form. You can find an interesting bet if if you combine those two. You can get Harry Kane and Heung-min Son to score at plus 400 odds, which is kind of intriguing. But if you didn't want to select between the two, but yeah, both playing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, you're also looking for. I guess it could be like a 2-0 result. So maybe that's not a given that you want the over 2.5. So yeah, I mean, those are the guys that are going to be scoring. I think that maybe the first two last week for Tottenham were like Doherty and Emerson or something like that.
Two wingback goals.
Yeah, so that's always possible, but just given how Son and Kane are playing together right now with Kulusevski and up there, like those guys you can get them plus odds to score. I think that's a pretty good deal. But like I said, I'm still kind of wary about Aston Villa in general. So
that's right.
But next match here, we got a relegation battle. We got a couple relegation battles this week. When writing my article, I had some trouble just deciding on what I wanted to do. We had some weird matchups. Like I considered looking at Everton against Manchester United, but I don't want to do that. Like you got Watford, Leeds, and you don't know how some of these teams are going to be playing. You don't know how Aston Villa is going to be playing. You don't know how like West Ham and Leicester they have these Europa League games. So we got to see those lineups before we can even make a suggestion at some of these matchups. And then you throw in like the Brentford win at Chelsea last week. How are they going to be playing? Crystal Palace just beat Arsenal. You got all these weird things. So we're just going to talk about Norwich and Burnley, which is only going to be weird. We don't know exactly what's going to happen here. Norwich plus 185 to win. Burnley plus 170 to win. Draw is plus 215. Over 2.5 goals is plus 130. Under 2.5 goals minus 165. So I can't touch the over under on this one. I was gonna say it's like this is a given that it's gonna be under because like you have these teams that kind of suck offensively. But like we just saw that Burnley match against Everton. But you look at Norwich's schedule and it's really difficult the rest of the way. So you can't assume that this is going to be defensive. Like Norwich need points. They can't just sit back and accept like a scoreless draw again, which they just had against Brighton. They need 3 points. Like there's no way around it. Dean Smith can't like take that approach. So what do you think? Are you going with the under route or what are your thoughts in this game?
I mean, minus 160 on under 2.5 is just not a very good bet. But yeah, I mean, I don't expect a lot of goals. Just it's interesting that that game on Wednesday between Everton and Burnley was 3-2 because you go into that like I have no idea who's. I don't think there's going to be many goals there either, but there was. I mean, Everton got it on 2 PKs. I still think there's not going to be a ton of goals here. They played in October to a 0-0 draw between Burnley and Norwich, so they both took points there. It was 2-0 before that. The last 3 or 4 games, there's been 2 goals, or 2 or less goals. So I still think I would not even touch the over or the under. It's just like there aren't going to be goals, but the odds are not good enough where you're going to be like, okay, let me slide in and try to find something here.
Is there any value in taking a side here? Just like double chance? Do you like either one of these teams to? I mean, Burnley are slight favorites, but I mean, this could go either way here.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess it'd be a draw no bet kind of a play because the double chance you're just not getting good enough numbers.
Yeah, double chance you're getting you're minus 200 for both teams. So I would obviously you're gonna go away from that, but the draw no bet. I mean, I lean Burnley here. They're just a better team than Norwich are, but if we're not getting any good odds, then I'd skip it completely. Yeah, I guess you get Burnley at minus 115, which is pretty, good enough to take. But I would go that one over Norwich at minus 105, despite playing at home.
Going back to my original point here, I just want to bring up the schedule. So Norwich, their next maybe this was even Burnley I was talking about. Maybe I'm just making this up. I thought this schedule was more difficult. All right. Well, so Norwich, they're at Manchester United, then they're home against Newcastle, at Aston Villa, home against West Ham. Then their final three are against teams in the top 10. So this is by far their easiest match of the season remaining. So it's like, I just kind of think that, like, you look at their previous results before that Brighton game where, Brighton kind of dominated possession. They kind of dominated the match, didn't score. But, I mean, in Norwich's previous matches, there were goals. So at some point, like, Dean Smith has kind of taken a different approach. There was, at least 3 goals in the prior 6 of the 7, I think that is. And then you look at Burnley, and there's been at least 2 goals in their last 6 matches. When you look at it on the surface, it's like, yeah, Norwich, Burnley, scoreless draw early this season, and these teams just can't score. But I don't know. It's something is just kind of standing out where I just can't see Norwich accepting another super defensive match. I guess the only way it happens is if, like, Norwich score early and then they sit back and it's like 1-0 or something. They get a 1-0 win. I just think just both teams kind of inconsistent defensively, especially Burnley away from home, and Norwich have some injuries that they're dealing with. I don't know. For some reason, I don't like it, but I'll say over 2.5 goals at plus 130. That's what I'll go with.
Say it, but doesn't like it. All right. I'm not touching it. is my take.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna write about the under or like both teams not to score kind of a thing, but it just doesn't make sense that Norwich are gonna accept like a draw again. Like, why would Dean's, like, with his easiest match remaining on the season, like, he's probably, like, if they get relegated, he's probably not going to remain the manager. I mean, I don't know their situation there, but he was brought in halfway. Maybe he stays, whatever. But I don't
Seems
know.
like he's in
just,
yeah. I could see him staying.
Yeah, I guess when I said that, I realized, like, Daniel Farke was there for like 4 years. So
yeah, he got promoted and relegated, and then promoted again.
Yeah. So maybe they're not like a Watford who fire 3 managers every year. They're kind of opposite of that. So I guess Dean Smith is staying, but obviously he wants to stay up. So I guess that's why I'll leave it at that. But we got to talk about the biggest match of the weekend and maybe the biggest match of the season, at least the Premier League season. We got Manchester City home against Liverpool. Manchester City plus 105 to win, Liverpool plus 245, draw plus 270. You can get over 2.5 goals at minus 145, over 3.5 goals plus 170, under 2.5 goals plus 120. Chris, give us your hot takes for this match because I know you have something that you want to get out to the fans here.
Yeah, man, biggest game of the Premier League season without a doubt. It's like set up so nicely where it was like Liverpool was off first place 14 points, I think, as recent as, like, was that January or even February. So they just kind of clawed back. City haven't necessarily played bad. They've just dropped points in a couple places. They're doing well in their Champions League tie. They're still top of the table, but this is the decider here for the season. I still think, even despite this game, City have a much better road to winning the Premier League. Liverpool's got a pretty tough schedule down the stretch here with I think they got Tottenham, Aston Villa, Wolverhampton to end the season. But as far as this game goes, City playing at home, they're coming off a big result in the Champions League. Liverpool also, won. But I think my hottest take here might be that Mo Salah comes off the bench in this game. He is coming off 2 games in the World Cup qualifier against Senegal, where he played extensive minutes, missed the penalty. He really looked off the pace against Benfica on Tuesday. Some touches weren't necessarily going his way. He came off, I think it was with about around the 70th minute. This is weird, because Liverpool haven't necessarily had these options in the past to start like a Luis Diaz or a Jota on the right, or even Mane. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Salah come off the bench in this one. I think it's going to be really tough for Liverpool to win this game. And if I had to opt for one bet, it would be the over. And that's I think you said over 3.5 goals is plus 170. These games are always like chock full of goals. Earlier this season it was 2-2. Last year it was 4-1 and 1-1, so not a ton of goals there. But then the two matches prior 4-0 and 3-1. So there's been a lot of goals here. So I think the over 3.5 at plus 170 is the ticket. I will say, and this is going to be my best bet, but there's a good Liverpool bet out there that I would consider. I mean, other than that, I'm just excited for this game, man. We have talked about these two teams all season, it's built up to this, and now we're going to get a good game in a primetime spot on a Sunday morning. So it doesn't get much better than that for us.
Mo Salah to the bench.
A little bit of a hot take, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That would be something. I mean, if they lose, if he doesn't start, it'd be something to hang your hat on. Which is a funny thing to.
I wouldn't be salty. Yeah, I wouldn't be salty about. Yeah, he didn't play. Like I called it.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of guy, but I just he just he clearly could use maybe an appearance off the bench. I don't know. Would I be mad at him seeing him in the starting 11? Absolutely not. But I still think that might be more useful to give his legs a little bit of rest.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I do like the over too. I'm kind of surprised that it's plus 170 for over 3.5 because you got 5 of the last 6 basically have been over that number, and it just seems like just the way these teams play, this isn't going to be like a Manchester City Atletico Madrid match. Just the way these teams play, there's going to be goals. I mean, it's been rare when there hasn't been goals between these teams. So if there's a route, I would say that over 3.5, you're getting plus 170 on it. But like you said, in terms of Liverpool's schedule, it's more difficult the rest of the way. And I know, you see it on Twitter, it's Liverpool are really in form, they've won, I don't know what it is, 18 of their last 19, something like that. But I went through that their schedule, and their best wins are against Arsenal and Inter Milan. I mean, otherwise, they have some home wins in there filtered in, against West Ham and stuff like that. But a lot of those wins really aren't against top level competition. And even then, it's Arsenal have lost to every good team this season. So how much you putting into that win anyway? But yeah, so that's kind of why I'm leaning Manchester City in this spot. And they're at home. They didn't have to travel midweek. Liverpool were in Benfica. You mentioned the Mo Salah issue. I mean, even if it doesn't start, I don't know. That still kind of changes. Maybe they're better without him, given the way he's playing, but it still kind of just changes. I don't know, what's going through some of these guys' heads, given how big of a role Salah has played this season. I mean, I do like the way Liverpool are playing, but I'm kind of coming back to Manchester City at home, and you can get them plus odds to win. So I feel anytime they're in that situation, I'd probably take it. So that's kind of why I'm taking it plus 105 there.
Yeah, not often you get Man City at plus odds. So when you can, you might as well take it. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Definitely going to be a game you won't want to miss. But yeah, it's the biggest part is you have a Liverpool. You mentioned it, a team that's won a lot of games. I mean, I think the only game they lost in the past 2 months has been that Inter Milan game where they won but advanced. So at plus 245, you get some pretty crazy odds for a team in that informed. I think you're right. Where City played at home midweek, didn't have to travel, maybe not quite as fatigued. Yeah, we'll see, but it's gonna be a great game to watch.
All right, you look at. I was considering the both teams to score no draw at plus 135, but you look at some other away matches for Liverpool, they drew Chelsea 2-2, Tottenham 2-2, and Manchester City have had some draws against top competition. So maybe this match will end in a draw. It wouldn't be surprising if it is one of those 2-2 results kind of a thing. I mean, didn't that just happen actually? Yeah, it just happened earlier this season. So
yeah.
For some reason, it seems like when a lot of these top teams play, there's just draws. They battle. That first match, it was a back and forth battle. Then I feel like nothing happened in the final 10 or I guess De Bruyne scored in the 81st minute. Then I feel like nothing really happened at the end. It was like a 2-2 draw, and both teams were kind of fine with it. But
I can't remember the City Chelsea results, but Chelsea Liverpool, both of those were draws too. And then in the League Cup final as well, PK. So yeah, these top teams frequently play into a draw.
Yeah, so you're assuming if it is a draw, that would probably favor Manchester City overall in terms of winning the league? Because we got Liverpool to win the league are plus 165. So
yeah, I mean, like as I mentioned to start this, they've got a pretty tough. I mean, these two teams are going to meet in a week next Saturday in the FA Cup semifinals. So they're both they're both going into quarterfinal Champions League games, and then they're playing each other the following weekend in the FA Cup semifinals. Liverpool then play Manchester United, Everton, which is that could be. You never know what those games. Those are always a little funky, but Everton are pretty down bad right now. And then Liverpool, they got Newcastle, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Southampton, and they end the season with Wolves. So that's a pretty tough schedule. I was looking at cities earlier. It seems a little bit more friendly. But
home matches against Brighton and Watford kind of stand out, and they're home against Newcastle and Villa, whereas Liverpool are away to those teams. So
yeah. So I just think Liverpool has to win this game to either gain a mental edge, a little bit of a mental edge over City, where it's okay, but then they still have to go out and win 7 more games. It's I think even despite what happens in this match, there's still a lot of games to be played, and even if they do win, there's nothing saying that they're gonna make it 17 straight Premier League wins, which would be insane. So I think there's probably points to be dropped, at least for Liverpool somewhere, and then City, they're just such a well-oiled machine. I just still think even if they do lose this game, they've got a good chance to win it, and they probably, if I was going to bet on it, they probably still will. But yeah, I think I took Liverpool to win the Premier League, preseason at plus 560. It was so. I got to double check on that, but I got them in a couple places to win the league, so we'll see.
Do you put anything into? Actually, I forgot. I have Liverpool at plus 500 to win the league, actually, from before the season. But do you put anything into the Manchester City Tottenham match from a little bit ago, where Tottenham just got those 3 goals off the counter? Do you think something similar could happen just because Liverpool are just as good off the counter as Tottenham?
Oh yeah, I mean, both the City play. I mean, they both play a possession style. They both have the quality to do that. But when you got whether it's Kevin De Bruyne running at you on the counter, and your Joel Matip or your Mo Salah and Aymeric Laporte is sitting back there, that's just so tough to defend any way you slice it. So I think there's going to be plenty of space for goals. And like I said, 4 of these past 5 matches have been over. The 4 goals are over, so it wouldn't be crazy to see some of those opportunities come to fruition.
Right. I mean, you also have, I mentioned, that Tottenham match, and Ruben Diaz played in that match. He's not going to be playing in this one, so that's another thing to consider. That Manchester City, while they haven't been allowing goals, now these guys are going to be under pressure. Stones and Laporte together, or Nathan Ake, if he plays, they're going to be under more pressure than they have been the past 2 months or past month, however long Ruben Diaz has been out. So, but I guess, unless you have anything else to say, we could probably get into your best bet because it is with this game. So,
yep, everything I just said. City are a great team. They're playing at home. They are in great form. But anytime you can get Liverpool double chance at minus 125, which I think this podcast considers the cusp of a decent bet, I'm going to do it. So I'm taking Liverpool double chance. That's a draw or a win at minus 125. You can never get those odds on a team like that. So, I think this one plays to a draw, but if it were, still cash out there on the win. But that's where I'm going to go this weekend. Betting a little bit with my heart there, but also on a team that's won 10 straight Premier League matches and is in really good form overall. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, you can never get Liverpool at 120 minus 125 double chance, but you can also never get Manchester City at plus 105 at home. So
Truth.
yeah, so Chris won both his best bets last week, and so I can't really say anything. I can't remember the last time I won a best bet, so I guess I had a parlay last week. My parlay involved Chelsea to win. They lost. They lost at home 4-1 to Brentford. They changed their formation for unclear reasons. I maybe would have second guessed that after seeing the formation and what they put out there, but that was last week. And instead of, as I said, I had trouble finding good bets throughout the slate for this week, and I came upon one that I kind of like that isn't a side. It's not an over under. I'm going over 10.5 corners between Chelsea and Southampton. So this is kind of a different bet than what we've pretty much been using all season on this podcast. But you look at, so the last team these teams played, it was in the EFL Cup. They had 19 corners between them. Sure, that was in October, but pretty much every match Southampton have at least 6 corners about. They're third in the league in corners taken. Chelsea are fourth in the league in corners taken. Southampton had 6 corners in the recent match against Manchester City. Like, if you can get 6 corners against Manchester City, you can get 6 corners against Chelsea. On the other side of that, then you only need 5 corners from Chelsea, and that's possible. The only way this doesn't hit, I think, is if it's scoreless and neither team is really pushing. I think if either side goes up a goal, no matter what side it is, the other team will just be pressing, and that'll allow for corners. And there's another number. It's not my best bet, but it kind of stood out to me when looking at the odds. Southampton are plus 950 to get in a race to 9 corners. The first team to get 9 corners. Those are huge numbers for Southampton, who have had double-digit corners in a few of the recent games. So, like, in that situation, it's like Chelsea, maybe they score in like the 10th minute, and then you have maybe 80 minutes of Southampton just pressing. And like, if they get 9 corners, you're getting plus 950 odds, which is pretty wild. Just, again, Southampton are third in the league in corners taken. So, like, James Ward-Prowse, corner master, set piece master. But yeah, over 10.5 corners, minus 105. We usually don't have corner bets on here, but what do you think about that?
I love it.
There we go.
A little, add something that we haven't done in the past and give a little more value. Yeah, interesting bet. Tough against a team like Chelsea, who might see most of the ball, but I'm intrigued by that one. Just a little weary on the Chelsea, like, just being likely going to see a lot of the ball, whereas it might be tough for Southampton to get that many corners. But
yeah, but you say that, and then like they lose to Brentford. And that Brentford
how many corners did Brentford have?
Brentford had 7 corners and 29% possession.
Okay, all right. So let's do a little correlation here. Southampton gets like 35% possession, and we're up to almost 9.5 there.
I think that's all.
That's
you
a
need
little
to
quick.
know.
That's some probably inaccurate quick math, but that's where we're at. So if they get even 60-40, we got a good chance at it.
Yeah, let me. How many corners? Brentford are last in the league in corners taken, and they had 7 at Chelsea last week with 29% possession.
Do we on the RotoWire cheat sheets? Do we have? I know we have like conceded. You can go into the cheat sheet and you can go like conceded scoring chances or like conceded blocks, like aka this team forces the most amount of blocks. Do we have corners on that, or corners won? That would be interesting to see. That would be maybe we get the tech team involved here and see if we can update that. But like, just a team that forces the most amount of corners would be an interesting.
Yeah, that seems like something we should add here. Now that we have the team conceded stats per match, but corners are not on there. We just have crosses.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because then at least you see like, okay, Chelsea actually give up way more corners than we think they do. just given their possession style. But
Yeah.
interesting thing to potentially add.
That's a good one to file away for summer stat tinkering there.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so that is it. We got everything. We got a little bit of Manchester City, Liverpool. Chris's best bet is Liverpool double chance at -125. I took over 10.5 corners between Chelsea and Southampton. That's -105. And I'm gonna sprinkle on plus 950 Southampton first team to 9 corners in that match. Plus 950. Like that's
Wow.
bet 10 win 95. That's pretty solid return there. So just in terms of our podcast here, bet 100 win 950. That's how we do it. So
yes, exactly.
All right, Chris, thanks for joining me. This has been Game Week 32, talking kits and wagers. You can find Chris at CHROwen8 on Twitter. I am at Zdroik. Again, we both work and write at rotowire.com. Yes, RotoWire. Check it out, soccer. rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 10-day trial, no credit card required. And hey, it's going to be a fun weekend. Manchester City, Liverpool. Man, that's, I don't know. I'm going to say, I'll give a goal prediction here. I will say 3. This seems like a lot, but I'm going to say 3-2. That seems like a big total here, but 3-2 Manchester City.
That was my first thought. Mo Salah hat trick off the bench. No, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be 2-2, and maybe Salah gets one off the bench. But I think my biggest take is Salah off the bench. But yeah, I'm looking for a draw here.
There we go. Going for the draw. I'm going Man City win and plus 950 Southampton corners. All right, Chris. Thanks for joining me. We'll see everyone next week for Game Week 33.
Thanks, Adam.